First of all, I want to welcome some new people that are watching today for the first time, including some people I met just in the last several hours, Leslie and Patrick, that I met at Zeppo's, and Kate, and that I met at Manzana's restaurant, and her roommate Liz, and Tom and Bob. It's good to see you also. I had an incredible week last week. I had information shared with me that was profound, and I'm going to share much with you today. I was given so much information that I actually could be with you for the next 15 hours. I've asked Tammy to tell me when an hour is up, and then I'm going to go into prayer. But information I shared with you, in many cases, are going to be challenging to you because they told me things that are inconsistent with some of the things I might have told you in the past, or some of your own belief systems. But they told me that I have to share the truth with you, and I have to speak from the heart, and that's what I'm doing. When I went to San Diego, I had anticipated that our first meeting with Yeshua and whoever else was to be there, because he told me there'd be other spiritual masters, would take place on Tuesday morning. But instead, he wanted to start Monday afternoon. So my first session started on Monday afternoon. And Joshua first came forward, and his name is Yeshua. He wanted to be very, very clear about this. He does not want to be called J-E-S-U-S. He does not want to be called J-E-S-U-S. He said his name is Yeshua, but phonetically it's spelled J-E-S-H-U-A. And if we choose to call him Joshua, it's acceptable to him, but he prefers to be called Yeshua, with the J sounding like a Y and the accent on the second syllable, Yeshua. So I shall refer to him as Yeshua because I did all week, and I'm so much more comfortable. And his other colleagues also refer to him as Yeshua. And Yeshua told me something that is very, very important that he said that you might take exception to. He said, Nick, you must share with your people that I am only one. I am one of a community of masters. I am one of a community of masters. And it's important that all the masters be recognized, all of them, and not just me. You cannot put me on a pedestal and say that I'm God, because every one of us are part of God, but I am still evolving just as you all are. He said, it's important that you recognize, so important, that I am just one of the members of a community of spiritual masters that is helping all of you grow and expand your consciousness so you in turn can expand the consciousness of others and the awareness of others. And he said, you have to honor this, Nick. And even though there are those who want to put me on a pedestal, I am a master. He said, I am a master, but I am one of many masters of a community of spiritual masters that are working with you and the others that are on your site and a part of the great tomorrow. Now, some of you might not reject that because you do want to put him on a separate pedestal. And he said, it's important you don't. He does not want you to do that. In fact, he even told me the next day, he said, Nick, just as I am a teacher, meaning Yeshua was talking about himself, so I'm also a pupil. Just as you, Nick, you are a teacher, but you're also a pupil, because you're an apostle of our teachings, but you're also a pupil to us while we are teaching you. And he said, I, Yeshua, also have others that are more, that are in a position that they are his teachers. So he is their pupil, just as we in turn are his pupils. This may be difficult for some of you to accept, but it's the truth. And it's important that he wants you to know that. I also want you to know he has a tremendous sense of humor, a tremendous sense of humor. Many times I would say something to him. I would say an anecdote. He said, that's a good anecdote, Nick. And I said, well, I learned it from you. And he was just roaring with laughter. So he did have a tremendous, tremendous sense of humor. And at that point, he introduced me to a person, another entity, another member of the spiritual family of his community, introduced me to Maitreya. Now, the name is spelled M-A-T, but he pronounces it Maitreya. And Maitreya then, his frequency, Maitreya then came and appeared to me. Maitreya's personality was quite different than Yeshua's, where Yeshua spoke very informally and with a lot of humor. Maitreya was very serious and very somber and spoke for a long period of time to me. He said to me, Nick, he said, I'm Maitreya, I give support to you and to all of your people. It's important that you recognize that we are all part of one. When you hear my voice speaking, Nick, it is me speaking, but there are times that I will blend in with another spiritual master so that you'll hear one voice, but the energy will be really voice of two. He said, let me give you an example. It's if you had two people singing together the same words, but they were blending together their voices. And so it is times, Nick, that you will hear me speaking to you, and I'll let you know when, that I'll be blending in the voice of another spiritual master so that you'll be feeling the energy of two of us. And times even a triad, that there'll be three of us. And indeed, he did do that several times during the 4 days I was with them, where they blended in almost like listening to two people singing the same song, the same words, but you could hear there was two people talking rather than one, but through the energy. And he wanted me to know there were times that he would be blending in another spiritual master, but he would let me know when that was happening. So the frequencies will speak in one voice, or they could speak as a triad. I asked him a question during the conversation. I said, why was I chosen? Why am I chosen to be with you? Why me? And he said, Nick, he said, that is not the way it worked. We did not choose you. He said, you are the one that made that commitment before you incarnated into this lifetime. Your spirit asked to be chosen, Nick. You asked to be chosen. And because your spirit was a spirit that was with Yeshua 2,000 years ago, it was not unusual for us to accept the fact that your spirit wanted to be chosen for the position that you have now, that you share with others. And they told me, he said, so you made that agreement while you were still in the spirit world, Nick. So we did not choose you. You volunteered. You made that commitment. Then I asked him a question out of curiosity. I said, I want to thank you. It was my birthday yesterday. Yesterday was my birthday. And I said, I want to thank you for what some might say, aging me gracefully. And he said, Nick, this is a two-way street. You only talk about one side of the coin. Yes, we are doing that, but also because of your own care that you take to your health and the food that you eat in your diet, you have also made your contribution. For had we done what we did and are doing, and you in turn decided instead to continue eating food that was unhealthy for your body and not exercising, you would not have celebrated the birthday you did celebrate yesterday. I will tell you, I was born, I do not consider my age consistent with how I feel, how some might perceive me, but I was born in 1936, which in Earth years was a long time ago. But aging is a matter of the mind and how you live your life and your relationship with spirit. Exactly, your relationship with spirit and how you live your life in terms of the food you eat and whether you exercise. So he told me that it was a two-part series. Then he said to me, I want to share something with you about Hilarion. He said, you don't identify with him, and the reason you don't, Hilarion does not have your spirit. He was not, you were not, you did never lived. Your spirit was not the spirit of Hilarion. I said, oh, I said, is that why I have trouble identifying with him? He said, yes. Hilarion was the father of Paul. Hilarion was the father of Paul. And the reason people say that Hilarion was a spirit of Paul in a previous lifetime, because they wanted to basically identify him as being the spirit of somebody that was basically a celebrity in a past lifetime, whose name is well known, such as yours was 2,000 years ago. Because if they were to say that Hilarion was the father of Paul, that would not carry the significance of Hilarion being a master, which he is. He is a spiritual master. He's not part of the specific community of spiritual masters that we are in, Nick, that are sharing with you and your colleagues who are part of the Great Tomorrow, but he is the master for other groups of people, other groups outside of your core group and outside of that of the Great Tomorrow. But no, Nick, you had nothing to do with Hilarion. That is a totally separate spirit, and you had never lived a lifetime as Hilarion. So what happened then, he then told me, Nick, he says, the planet itself is like a great soul. Think of this planet as not a planet, but as a great soul. And he said to me that the spokesman for the planet is a spirit who's part of the community of spiritual masters that he is in, whose name is Sanat Kumara. I want you to write down that name, Sanat, S-A-N-A-T, and a separate name, Kumara, K-U-M-A-R-A. If you were to Google Sanat Kumara, you would find indeed that he is a great spirit of the past. He's a spiritual master. Google will tell you that. And he did come and speak to me later. In fact, he did actually do a blend with Maitreya at one point. And I'll tell you when that happens, if I ever get to that particular point, if I get far enough into our show, if I get far enough into my material in the show. Now, I want you to know that I invoked them to come and help me with the show. They told me that if I were to ask the community of spiritual masters to participate with me whenever I speak in front of the public, that they would give me the words to speak and would open up your hearts and your minds so you could understand these words and hear the words and have the choice of either accepting them or rejecting them because of the gift of God that God has given you of free will. And they said, Nick, it's important to understand that it's only human beings that have the gift of free will, only human beings. Because as humanity evolves, all living things evolves. Animals, mineral, and plants also evolve. They also evolve just as humanity does. But only humanity has a gift of free will and become at one with God as they evolve, eventually, as they evolve up the ladder. They didn't like me. I'm going to jump ahead for a moment. They don't like me using the pyramid as an example. They said, Nick, instead of the pyramid, and I don't remember if Maitreya told me this or Yeshua, because I'm going to talk about it later on. Think instead that life is a journey, and there's a destination is to become at one with God, to enter God's, the dwelling of God. And everybody takes a different path to get to the journey. And some are much closer to finding, some are far, far, far away, many, many miles away, if you want to think in human terms, from reaching the destination. And some of them take a very circuitous route. They go through jungles and have to climb mountains and have great difficulties and obstacles, which is how they choose their journey. And there are others that walk a straight line. They walk a clear path through beautiful scenes, along rivers and oceans, and find their way directly to the path, and they make that journey faster and easier. And the quality of their journey is probably even more enjoyable. But the ones that are closer to finding that home where they enter God's dwelling, that would be the equivalent, Nick, of you talking about the pyramid and climbing up 1,000 steps. He said, do you understand that analogy? And I said, yes, I do. They said, why don't you use that analogy? The ones that are further away, they're in the dark, They choose to take journeys sometimes that are very dangerous, very difficult, hardships in their lives, many lifetimes, many lifetimes. And there's some that choose a journey for whatever reason. They understand the truth. They understand God's will, and they live their lives in such a manner that the journey is much more enjoyable to them and much more direct to becoming at one with God. He said, but we're all on that journey, Nick. Even Maitreya. Maitreya says, I'm on that journey also, Nick. I'm not there yet. I have those even at a higher level than I am in the spiritual world. And they also are my teachers. And I'm their pupil, just as you are our pupil. And you're the teachers of others. And just as everybody in the great tomorrow, in one form or another, you once called them, you said you were apostles. They are also teachers, and they have their pupils. He said, my function as Maitreya, as well as a function of the spiritual masters, this community of spiritual masters, Nick, we are helping humanity evolve. We are helping humanity to evolve, to have awareness, so they can help them in their journey to eventually get closer and closer to reach that home of our Creator. He, she, not a gender, our Creator, the divine, who gave us our lives and our souls, including Maitreya's, Yeshua's, and the other spiritual masters. I'm just glancing at my notes right now. Humanity must wake up, Nick. Humanity must wake up, for it is in trouble. And as with the great tomorrow comes into the picture. Because the great tomorrow, Nick, you and your colleagues, your core group, who consists of 4 people, the core group consists of 4 people, myself, and at the time when I went there were 2 others. And that was Tom Crosswhite and Amy, the 3 of us, and they said, and I met a 4th one when I was in San Diego, whose name is Michael. So there are 4 in our core group. And our core group, in essence, is like a core circle, and around it is the great tomorrow that includes all of you, who in essence is our responsibility to help lead the core group, to lead those who are all part of the great tomorrow, so you in turn can impact the lives of others and humanity, to help humanity to evolve. But I must tell you, there are other groups besides the great tomorrow that are also doing the same thing. They're complementing. They don't compete with us. They're complementing what we do. And we must acknowledge them and give them the same respect and acknowledgement and honor them, just as the community of spiritual masters ask us to honor them and to show them respect for their position. They were very, very adamant about that. We should honor and respect the other groups, like Sharon's group, who has 6 people in it. And you can find that on her website. It says, we seek to serve. I ask you, all of you, to write down her website name. We seek to serve. Because we should support their website also, just as you support this one. Because they complement what we do, just as her website complements what we do. And I'm sure Sharon's watching this program today, as well as many of her colleagues from her website, who are her core group. Her core group, I know 2 of them personally, Wayne Peterson, who Maitreya, and he was a great supporter of Maitreya and has written books about Maitreya, and also another woman in Germany, who I met years ago at a convention in Las Vegas when I was a guest speaker at a convention for over 100 people that came from all over the world to the convention. Sarah and I were 2 of the keynote speakers, and I met her. Her name is Vilma, Wilma, but she goes by Vilma, and she actually was one of the first people that edited, one of the 6 people that were edited with me my book, Time for Truth. If you look at the back pages where I give credit to those who helped me edit the book, Vilma was one of them. And she's part of the core group of We Seek to Serve. So we have to respect and honor that core group, just as we also will receive that same honor and recognition from them, because we all have missions which are so important to humanity. So the great tomorrow, we have that responsibility to point the way and to lead the way. And many people will gather with us, providing they agree with our intentions. If they are in alignment with our intentions, many others will also join us, will join the great tomorrow, if they are in alignment with our intentions. It is so important when I say about alignment with our intentions, because there are some that want to join the great tomorrow thinking that it's a bandwagon. And the reason I share this, because there's another aspect I'm going to be bringing in, and that is that in addition to the community of spiritual masters, there are those from other galaxies, other cosmic galaxies. Something that I said I would never talk about on the show, they want to be honored also. They don't want to be called aliens. They want to be called allies of Earth. They want to be called allies of Earth. Now this brings in that whole issue of ETs, extraterrestrials, UFOs. They say no. They said we are allies of Earth. And I met 4 of them. 4 of them actually I met, which I'll be talking about probably not this show, but maybe 2 shows from now. And I looked up their names, and you can't find them on Google. One is Kenu, Kenu. One's name was Sho, S-H-O. One's name is Osiris, O-S-I-R-U-S. And another name, Astara, A-S-T-A-R-A, Astara. And they all have very important messages that they gave me. Not the first day. I believe I met them on the 3rd day. On Wednesday is when I actually met them, each one of them one at a time. And they shared with me their function as to how they impact those of us on Earth and the role that they play. So it's important that we honor them also and respect them, because there was a time when they literally saved our planet, perhaps more than once. But their functions in almost every case is to help increase the awareness of humanity. I'm going off on a tangent. I'm going 2 days ahead of myself right now. So let me go back to where I should be. They said that all the members, I'm talking about Maitreya now. Maitreya told me that all the members who are part of the community of spiritual masters are all on the same level. All. None is higher. Yeshua is not on a higher level than Maitreya or the others that I were to meet, which is Sanat Kumara, Kuthumi, K-O-O-T. You can write these names down. I asked if you take a pencil and paper. I want you to write these names down, because these are people that I've met with. These are spirits these are masters from the spiritual community, the community of spiritual masters that I met with. And they shared with me messages that I'll be giving with you today, as well as next Sunday and the following Sunday. And these particular masters can be found on Google. I want you to write down the names. Kuthumi, that's K-O-O-T-H-U-M-I. And Sanat Kumara, S-A-N-A-T, separate word, Kumara, K-U-M-A-R-A. And if you recall, Sanat Kumara is the one who's responsible for Earth. He's responsible for the planet, for the growth of the planet, for keeping the planet healthy, for its environment. And I'll get more into that later on. When I say later on, it might be next week. And then another one is Mora, M-O-R-Y-A. M-O-R-Y-A, Moya. If you were to Google Moya's name, you'll also find his name as a spiritual master. Another one is Lady Nana. They teased her because Nana means nothing in Spanish. And they laughed and they teased her about that because she has a great sense of humor. She's involved in healings. She's going to be joining us also, probably next Sunday. That's Lady, separate word, Nana, N-A-N-A. Thank you. And another one is Kumyin, K-U-A-M-Y-I-N. Kumyin, that's Q, excuse me, Q-U-A-M-Y-A-N. Kumyan is another master. If you Google that name after the show's over, you'll see indeed. Then, of course, we have Machaya. Oh, then we have another one called, then, of course, I can't forget Mary. She does not want to be called Mother Mary. She wants to be called Mary, just as Yeshua wants to be called Yeshua. And she is the most sweet, loving, gentle voice and energy, just an energy of pure, just gentle motherly love. I'm speaking of Mother Mary. She also, but she wants to be called Mary. So those are the ones with Maitreya that I actually talked to during those 4 days. Yeshua, Mary, Maitreya, Sanat Kumara, Kuthumi, Moya, Lady Nana, Kunyan, and Kutuyumi. Oh, I left him out. Sorry, Kutuyumi. He has to do with soul evolution. That's K-U-T-U, separate word, name, U-M-I, Umi. Kutuyumi. K-U-T-U-U-M-I. Kutuyumi. And then we had our 4 allies from the cosmic world, which were Kenyu, Sho, Osiris, and Star. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 individual spirits that I talked to. 9 that were from the community of spiritual masters, and 4 that were our allies who help us on this planet, but not from this planet. And you shall hear more about them in the future. That is, as future shows go on, 444 shows, as well as the impact they'll have on our lives and all of your lives, because they are working with you and humanity, every one of you. Okay, I went off on a tangent. They told me that there are many times they will give us opportunities, and it's up to us to take advantage of them. Recently, I purchased a building in the city of Lake Oswego. Someone posted on the website for $20 million, and they gave me that opportunity, and they said, Nick, we're providing you those funds, and they are. The people I met with in San Diego was a company called MC Square. I met with 3 of the principals of MC Square, the names being Tom Crosswhite and his partners, Charlie and Michael. And they are the ones joint venturing the purchase of the West End building with me for $20 million. But I didn't know that at the time I purchased it, the time I committed to purchasing it. But they said to me, Nick, you did it because you had 2 reasons, 2 things. You had faith and you had the courage to do it, even though you did not know yet that you were going to meet with Tom, Charlie, and their other partner, Joe, who lives in Lake Oswego, and Michael in San Diego. And the reason they said they chose San Diego, because Sharon and I did not know why they chose San Diego, because Tom and Charlie and Mike were having a business meeting in San Diego at the same time, and actually stayed. Tom stayed in the same hotel I stayed in, and the other Charlie and Michael stayed in a hotel 5 minutes away. But none of us knew this when we made the arrangements to go to San Diego. But Spirit put it all together. The community of spiritual masters put together a meeting in San Diego. Now I have to tell you an interesting thing that happened. On Monday evening, I ended up having dinner with Tom and Michael and Charlie, and we talked business, talked about the purchase of the $20 million and how they were providing the funds for it, and how we're going to cure all kinds of sicknesses, diseases in the Great Tomorrow and the Spiritual Center. All those things are on that article that I think Brian went ahead and posted on a site. And you can go back and read it again if you want to. Brian, why don't you post it again so they know what I'm talking about? It's going to become the center of the United States, if not the world, for the healing of sicknesses and diseases, as well as a spiritual center and feeding the hungry children of the world and seeing us properly distributed to all. But I'm jumping ahead of myself. So I have dinner with them, having a beer, whatever. And I didn't talk about spiritual things. I talked only about business. And then Michael took me aside. Now, Michael, I'm not going to mention his last name, but he was a football player at Notre Dame, played 2 years on the team that won the national championship. And he was in the process of being ordained to become a priest. And after the second year of being ordained, he left the priesthood. He left that ordaining school that he was going to because he ran into a disagreement with them regarding some of the things they believed in that were in conflict with his. So he took me aside and said, Nick, can I talk to you? I said, yes. He said, I know you. I said, what do you mean? He said, Nick, 2,000 years ago, I was a centurion and I knew you as the apostle. I looked at him because all I knew about him was he was a graduate from Notre Dame and that he went 2 years in the priesthood. And I purposely, intentionally said to Tom who's read my books, he and Barbara, I've known Tom for 40 years. I said, Tom, did you mention anything about my spiritual background? He said, no, I didn't want to get that interconnected. And Michael took me aside and said, Nick, I knew you 2,000 years ago. I was a centurion. This is no accident we've been brought together. And that itself is the reason why we're in San Diego. Because the masters told me the next day, they said, now you know why you went to San Diego. And where did Sharon fly in from? This is even cuter. She's from St. Paul, Minnesota. Sharon flew in from St. Paul, Minnesota, wondering, what am I doing? She was saying, what are we doing in San Diego? And that was to bring us together because Michael turned out to be the fourth person in that core. In that core I told you, the four of us, it's Tom, Michael, Amy, and myself, are the core of the Great Tomorrow. And then around that core, there'll be many other people who'll be part of the Great Tomorrow in advisory positions. We'll have an advisory board. We'll be involved with, I'll be jumping ahead of myself. Let me stop right there and say, that is the core group. And there are many spokes that come out of that core, which I'll save to a little longer discussion. But they said, Nick, we gave you the opportunity. And you went ahead and exercised that opportunity because you had faith and courage that the funding would be there to purchase that building in Lake Oswego for $20 million, called the West End Building, which is going to be the world headquarters for the Great Tomorrow, as well as other functions we're doing now with the 4 different spokes of our core. Think of a wheel with 4 spokes coming out. That will be the headquarters, as well as many other things. But again, I don't want to jump ahead of myself too far. I'm still now only in the first half hour that I was with the masters. They said to me that my core group will receive advice from others that we have to trust. Receive advice from others that we trust, to have the same intentions that we have. There will be many people who are going to step forward and say, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And they're saying, no, Nick, make sure they have the same intentions you have. If their intentions are financially motivated or ego motivated, then they're not coming from the same place that your core group is. Only take advice from those that you trust to have the same intentions you have and are coming from the same place your core is. And it's not me. They were very explicit about this. They said, Nick, Your sight, what you are, is plural. When we speak of your sight, we're talking about every person that's watching the site with you. It is not my sight, it is our sight. How many times have you heard the expression, I said, our chapel is always open? This is our sight. This is not my sight. The sight you're watching right now is our sight. Oh, you are our sight. It is our chapel, not my chapel. The Great Tomorrow is our organization, not my organization. The core group is not my core group, it is our core group. They said it's so important that you understand that do away with the words I, me, and say our. And when we say something is your, we're speaking of your collectively, meaning your site and all of you that are watching the site together who are part of the Great Tomorrow. I hope that makes sense what I'm sharing with you. I can't believe it's already 5:30. I'm still on page 1. And yet it's been almost 45 minutes. I can see right now this is going to be many, many sessions together. Also, when Yeshua talks about, Yeshua said to me, Maitreya said to me that when we do healings, Nick, when we do healings, they said, Nick, it's only those who are willing to accept healings that can receive healings. If they are not willing to accept the healings, if their soul is not willing to accept the healings, Nick, they can't be healed. If they don't believe they can be healed, they won't be healed. This is Maitreya that was saying this to me, explaining to me about the healings we do. He said to me, Nick, it's possible their soul may choose not to be healed because they want to make a transition. They want to make that transition because they don't want to stay in that body any longer. So when you do healings, Nick, remember it's the healings it's the divine energy of that person's soul that's actually doing the healing. Your soul is connecting to their soul. The divine energy that's within you, within them. But if they do not believe it, if they have put up a wall, if they don't think they're worthy of being healed, if they feel that it's not possible to do a healing, if they're not going to accept it, then will not receive a healing. Their own soul has to be willing to accept the healing for them to be healed. And that explains why only about 70% of the people, when Sarah and I have done healings in the past, in the chapel and other places, only about 70%, I'm guessing that number, received healings and 30% don't. Because there's also an issue that the soul may not want to be healed because it wants to make that transition of the soul and no longer be involved with their mortal body. This makes tremendous sense to me. I know it makes tremendous sense to a lot of you that are watching on our site, in our chapel. Now I'm turning the page, and I'm on page 2 now, and I'm still within the first hour and a half that I spent with Yeshua and Maitreya. And he continues sharing with me that whenever I'm speaking in front of an audience, including this audience, or I'm speaking at the Music and Miracles tour, they said, Nick, if you tell them that we who are a community of natural spirit, we who are a community of spiritual masters are here with you, our energy there, we will expand that energy of the words that you speak and the hearts and souls that are those who are listening, as well as those who are coming for healing, will expand it even larger than otherwise. And I am doing that now. I am telling you, as I speak to you, that the community of master spirits are with me now, in this room, even though you cannot see them. And they are helping me choose the words which I can address as I speak from the heart. So you, in turn, may accept what I'm sharing and help you on your journey, on that path to the home of the Creator, the Divine, whose soul we are part of, whose soul that we are a part of. So they told me that at the Music and Miracles tour, that they will be there and they'll open up a cordon, C-O-R-D-O-N, a cordon, and the energy will increase of the words and of the healings that would be done, as well as the songs that be sung, and the impact will have on people. But I want you to know that the great tomorrow, we cannot do it alone. We cannot do it alone. There are going to be many changes that's going to happen in the world, in leadership of the world, in every field you could think of, political, economic, educational, the media. These changes are going to come about because of the influence and the power of the community of spiritual masters and our allies, Earth allies from other planets that are going to change humanity, the leadership in every field you could think of, political, the type of movies that are made in Hollywood, the music that's played, in the entertainment world, educational field, every field you could think of, the leadership is going to change. And we will be part of that, helping that happen too. For what we in the great tomorrow, the impact we have in the lives of others. But they do want their credibility. They want to be acknowledged. They said, Nick, you can pray to God, you can pray to Yeshua, or you can pray to any one of the masters whose names I gave you, and ask them for support and help. When I use the word pray, I mean to ask them for their support and help, because that is their function, to support and help humanity, and every one of you, and every person on this planet, to evolve with awareness and to grow spiritually, and to evolve to make this a better place to live, to make our world and our planet a better place to live in every aspect that you can think of. Health-wise, spiritually, grow food for people so that there's no hunger in the world, and that we distribute it in such a manner that's sustainable and equally shared with every person in the world. I'm not talking about communism. I'm talking about if we have a cure for sickness of cancer, that it should not be just provided for those of people who are just wealthy, but all people. If we're able to feed hungry people in the world by increasing the growth of the capacity for the growth of food, it should be shared sustainably and equally with all the people in the world, and not just some of the people in the world, because there are starving children in many parts of the world, as you know, who do not have water and do not have food. And that's what Amy's been doing in Laos, helping feed the hungry children by growing rice and hemp. And we're going to do that on a worldwide basis. And one of the products that Tom's company has access to is one that literally increases the growth of agricultural products, makes them grow faster, more abundantly, and healthier, rather than using chemicals and toxics. It's all part of the great tomorrow. There are no coincidences. There was no coincidence that we ended up in San Diego. There was no coincidences, even though we didn't know why we were going to San Diego, that happened the day after Easter. There was no coincidence that Tom and his two partners had already booked flights and hotels to be in San Diego at the same time we were, although none of us knew that. And that Sharon flew in from St. Paul, Minnesota, St. Paul, to be in San Diego. I'm saying it's ironic that she lives in St. Paul, the city of St. Paul. I think, let's see. Um, I told you it'd be a change of leadership, and we have to honor how important the role is going to be that every one of you are going to play, those of us that are great tomorrow, and that we will be totally guided and given strength, knowledge, and every support system you could think of by the community of spiritual masters, as well as those who are our allies outside of our planet. We are a separate group, the Great Tomorrow, in that we have our own missions. We have our own missions, but we must respect the work that the other groups are doing, as I said earlier, such as Sharon's group, who also have their own missions, but also to better humanity. And it's not so important as the number of people we have in our group as it is the quality of the people, that they have the same intentions we are. There are many people going to want to jump on the bandwagon, going to hear I'm talking about extraterrestrial and say, oh, I want you to know I saw an ET once and I saw a UFO. It's got nothing to do with that. That has nothing to do with it. And this is why I've been reluctant to talk about my own experiences I've had with those who are considered allies on other planets. I've had my experiences. They told me I did have that mothership experience and that the ship came from the planet of, I can't remember right now, but I've got it written down here. They said, but Nick, there's other people. He said, you are concerned you're going to lose credibility, Nick? They said, don't worry about the credibility. Don't worry about it. They're confirming this right now. There are those who don't want to believe it. They're going to say that we've gone off on a tangent now because we're talking about energies and spirit and energies and help from other planets. They said, don't worry about it. Those that choose not to believe, they have the free will not to believe. And those that want to believe, those who have their hearts and minds open, will believe. It's okay. It doesn't make a difference. All we want me to do is to speak from the heart and speak truth. And let it fall, whatever it's going to be to fall. I don't mean fall. I mean, let the consequences be whatever they are. But there will be some people that will want to jump on a site and say, oh, I want to tell you about the experience I had. They say, Nick, be discerning. Spam those who come onto the site and want to talk about UFOs and so forth, because that's just not what it's about. It's about expanding the awareness of humanity. It's about expanding the awareness of humanity and having humanity evolve so it's more consistent with being at one with God and what the original intentions were when God created this planet. And his sparks became souls on earth, which I'm going to talk about another time. I think I've reached a point now where I barely got into it. I'm on page 1.5 and I've got 15 pages of material. So it's going to be many weeks that we're going to be together. So now, I'm going to ask Spirit, the community of spiritual masters, to give me their energy and help me send out their healing energy to all of you, including Kate's roommate Liz, Kate shared with us that Liz has problems in her lungs. May her lungs be healed, whatever ailment she has. It's a confirmation from God. My chakra, the cough. I ask that every one of you open your hearts and your souls who want to receive a healing and receive the healing. Receive the healing that you wish. If the healing be physical, may you receive that which you ask for. May those who help in the healings, who are part of the community of spiritual masters, assist you, assist your soul in accepting the healing. Those you ask for healings of addictions you may have, or phobias, or other areas within your own heart, your own soul, your own life, relationships, or whatever, that they receive a healing. May you be open to receive it. I just want you to breathe very deeply. Breathe very deeply and slowly. And take in the energy. Let new energy enter into your body. New air. Think of the air as energy. Take a deep breath and let all that stale air out of your body and bring in new energy, new healing energy into your body. These are the words they're giving me right now. That you breathe in. Take a deep breath and you breathe in new energy into your body. Healing energy. That's being a gift that's being given to you right now from those of the community of spiritual masters, as well as those who are our allies. Each breath that you take in is energy that's entering into your body. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Don't look at me. Close your eyes and breathe in deeply. Let the stale air out and take a deep breath and let that energy come into your body. And feel that energy. And let that energy go to every part of your body and heal that which needs healing. I am going to leave you now. I'm going to leave you now because there's so much to cover. I'm still at this point with Maitreya. Maitreya was still talking to me. There are many you may not accept what I said about Yeshua, that he is one, not just, that he is one of an extraordinary group, community of spiritual masters. And he asked you not to put him in any higher pedestal than that, but you treat all the spiritual masters equally. And there are other things I'll tell you next week that he shared with me, because I met with him a number of times. But for now, the energy is so strong coming from my hands, I don't want to leave it. I don't want to shut it off right now. Just close your eyes and accept the energy. I want you to close your eyes. I'm going to count to 20. At the end of count to 20, I'm going to shut the computer off. Just accept the energy for the next 20 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. A couple of eyes now. Namaste. Namaste to you. I say goodbye for now. Thank you.